Hey guys, this is Tyde in the Gear Lab, here to talk about our weatherproof boot collection. Today we're going to give you a pretty wide overview of wear case, use case, design details, so let's get into it. So everyone needs a weatherproof boot, no matter where you live, no matter where you're from. Having one of these in your closet is an absolute must. So as you can see, we have a huge variety. Want to make sure we talk about them today to just give you an idea of, is it right for you, is it not right for you, when to use it, when to wear it. So hopefully this video will give you a really good breakdown and an overview, and really help make a decision around what to buy, when to buy it, and why to buy it. All right, so this boot that I have in front of me is the exclusive Huckberry Xtratuf camo black colorway. What I love about it is that obviously it's black. It's really easy to wear with pretty much anything. We have the exclusive hits of the camo here in this neoprene. I really want to start here with Xtratuf's non-marking bottom. So this rubber is really awesome. It's grippy. It's going to make sure that you don't scuff up, any kind of deck or any flooring. The nice thing is you have this nice chevron pattern. You have all the siping here. So that is really, really helpful in really wet and slippery conditions. It just gives you the extra grip. As far as waterproof goes, this is gonna be 100% waterproof. This is what people wear on boats. This is what people wear in really, really, really wet conditions. So this is one that it can easily be a puddle stomper, and you can also wear it on a boat, which is great. You can wear it in the city. If you're an East Coaster, if you live in Alaska, this is probably very popular. I've even seen these in Hawaii. That's where I'm from. My friend started wearing these because, even though it's paradise, it's super wet there as well. Going into the upper, obviously we have these really bright blaze orange and reflective hits, so easy to just pull them on. It's a nice little detail. We have our Xtratuf Huckberry signature logo here. On the inside, the liner has this nice little Express Cool call out. That's just a really great lining just to make sure your foot doesn't overheat. That's one of the trade-offs that you usually see with these waterproof boots. They like to trap in moisture because they don't let anything in, and they also don't let anything out. So that's one of the unfortunate things when you have these true waterproof boots that are all rubber. As far as the footbed goes, the really nice thing is that it's actually removable. So if you need to dry your boots or if you need to give them air them out, that's really nice. When you think about styling this and how to wear it, honestly, this is pretty common for anyone in the Huckberry office. If it's a really rainy day and it's monsooning, this is just one of the easy boots to wear. Again, it's black, it's subdued, it's really sleek, it looks like a sneaker. So with anything with a pull-on boot, sometimes sizing can be tricky, especially when you only have full sizing like this style. So we offer 7 through 13. It's typically men's sizes. But when you think about buying this boot, if you're in between a size 7.5 or an 8.5, obviously just go up. One thing too, if you have really wide feet, definitely recommend sizing up as well. That'll make sure you have a more comfortable fit right out of the box. So this is a no-brainer. If it's raining, if it's monsooning, if it's just wet conditions, this is just the go-to boot to wear. All right, so what I have in front of me is the all-weather Duckboot. So this is another style that has been in the Huckberry assortment for years now. Going right into the styles, starting with the bottom, we have a Vibram bottom. This is one of Vibram's tried and true bottoms. Vibram's core competency is making outsoles and midsoles. That's their bread and butter. So when you see a brand or you see a style using Vibram, you know that they're basically using one of the best names in the industry. So this outsole here is called their Neosport model. It's meant to be, basically a hybrid outsole. It's meant to be look like a sneaker, but also like a hiker. So that's why we chose this bottom for this style. When you look at the midsole here as well, what you can see here about this boot is the way it's constructed, it's a sneaker boot. So this is kind of what we call our hybrid category. It's really nice because it looks like a traditional boot up top, but it's like a sneaker on the bottom. So going further up to the vamp of the style, this is a full grain leather. The nice thing about this is it's treated to be waterproof. Some of the details, we call this a trapunto toe. This is meant to kind of stimulate or replicate what you see in those old school deck boots while still being comfortable and flexible here. When you look at some of the other details of this boot, some of the, any boot to be honest, what you really want to look for is if it's, an ankle high style, or if it goes above the ankle and there's a tongue, you really want to make sure it has details like this, where it has a gusseted tongue. The gusset really makes sure that if water goes over where this vamp is, it can keep the water out. And so this is another great design detail you want to make sure you look for in any boot that has a waterproof capability. And honestly, if a boot is claiming waterproof, it can still be waterproof, but if it doesn't have this gusseted tongue, it's probably not going to do a very good job. If you look on the inside, the sole is removable. So again, this is an EVA bottom. It's nice, it's cushy, it's gonna feel like a sneaker. And that's one of the other downsides when you buy a true kind of heritage boot. A lot of times they require a lot of break-in. They may not be comfortable right out of the box. This is a style that's gonna be comfortable right out of the box. When you think about sizing for this style, we have the full size range from 8 to 13, and then we have half sizes as well. Other things to note, we have a few other styles here. We have a low cut version. Some people just don't like high cut styles. I rarely wear high cut styles. I have like maybe 1 or 2 in my closet. So if you want that waterproof boot, but you don't need like true ankle high, cut, we have a low version as well. Okay, so styling wise, kind of use case, this is a style that you can wear obviously when it's wet, when you need, a waterproof style. This is a great commuting boot if you're someone who takes the train, bikes to work. This is kind of what a lot of the people in our office use it for. Other than that though, like I said, it's a hybrid boot. This is meant to be a little bit more modern, a little bit more new, a little bit fresh, with giving a nod to the heritage styles. All right, next up we have the Vans Ultrarange EXO with Gore-Tex. So first off, we're still kind of in this hybrid boot kind of area. I will say that I need to give a nod to Vans. Obviously, they're a lifestyle brand. They started off in surf and skate, and now they're kind of in this outdoor space, which is amazing. So going from the bottom up, they have a very luggy sole, which is pretty awesome. It looks very aggressive, very great for traction. They're calling this compound the MTE. This is probably an in-house compound that they're developing themselves. This is a cold weather compound. And the nice thing about that is, again, when you have cold weather compounds, they ensure that the rubber doesn't turn like very hard and like get more dense as they get exposed to the cold. So that just ensures that you're not going to be slipping. These won't feel like ice skates. They won't feel slippery when you're walking in snowy, cold, wet conditions. Some of the other things to look at is you're going to see this right here, this middle kind of shiny area. This is just going to be like a heel clip or a shank. It's molded. These are usually TPU. These are really nice for stability. So as you like flex the shoe as you're walking, again, this gives you stability as you're walking. Going to the midsole, this is what I really love about this. Like these kind of boots, again, the hybrid styles, is that they are typically EVA. And so the nice thing about it is it's gonna feel like a sneaker. So when you think about the midsole, the shank, the outsole, you have all these layers so that you have all this technology, you have comfort, you have traction, basically you have comfort and performance in a nice bundle right here. Going up to the upper of the boot, obviously the first thing you see right here in bright yellow is that Gore-Tex. They want to give it like that street cred, knowing that, hey, they're using a Gore-Tex membrane. It's tried and true. This is gonna be, again, a true like waterproof style. So when you think about top of foot comfort, underfoot comfort, around your foot comfort, this is just gonna be an all around super comfortable boot. Again, kind of what I gravitate towards nowadays are boots that look like they're meant to be used for performance, but feel like a sneaker. They have that sneaker comfort, which is pretty much a must for me. When you look on the inside, it's gonna have that removable footbed. So the nice thing about these is that these footbeds are also molded. So they're specifically made to support the foot. You can already see the arch support right here. And obviously these have a textile lining, very comfortable. It's gonna keep your foot warm. It's gonna keep your foot nice and comfy and toasty if you're using it in cold and wet conditions. The nice thing about this is that there's full and half sizes. On a Huckberry, they range from size 8 to 12. For a wider range, you can check out Vans. But the nice thing about this, again, is half and full sizes allow you to just get the right fit for you. So next up, we have the Moonstar all-weather boot. It's really nice because they took a minimal approach here. The interesting thing about this boot is that they're actually made in Japan. You don't really see a lot of made in Japan footwear anymore. But this specific brand, this specific factory, they're still making them out of Japan, which I personally love. It's unique. It's one of the OG spots where Phil Knight took Nike. Starting from the bottom up for this shoe, what you can see is a full-length outsole. It's kind of nice because what you're seeing here is there's actually a little bit of a break where the heel and the forefoot transition. This is nice. It just gives a nice flexion point. It gives the heel, a little bit of, again, a distinction between the rest of the shoe. Going to the upper, very similar to the Duckboot, you have this like Punto's toe style. This guy actually has canvas and then it's covered by rubber, which is like laid on by hand. So this specific factory specializes in vulcanized construction. It's based in Kurume, Japan. And again, it's probably the same factory, if I had to guess, that makes shoes like Pottery. They specialize in vulcanized construction and canvas uppers. And so when you look at this style, really what I'm thinking is like, hey, if you're that kind of person who likes minimal, classic, you know, if you're familiar with shoes like Pottery, they look a lot like your Chuck Taylors, you know, by Converse. And so if you're kind of in that realm and looking for a like an all-weather kind of weatherproof style, this is probably going to be the shoe for you. Going into the other details as well, what we're going to notice here, just right off the bat, wax cotton laces. They prevent, you know, they're more water resistant than your typical laces. The insole is actually not removable in these shoes, so the way that these are constructed, they don't have this insole that's removed. They're basically just cemented in there. Do not try to remove them. You're gonna mess up the shoe, so just leave them as is. When you kind of feel on the inside, there's a textile lining. It's gonna be nice. You probably won't overheat in this. But the thing to note again is because the insole is not removable, because this is a very minimal construction, it's not going to be insulated. So when you think about cold weather boots, this is probably not going to be your go-to. So one thing to note about sizing for this is that there are only full sizes. So if you're in between sizes, definitely size up. Really what this customer is looking for is something with a really unique story. It's made in Kurume, it's made in Japan. You don't really see these nowadays. I'm definitely recommending this to anyone who prefers the really sleek, minimal look. Anyone who prefers to wear Chuck Taylors, this is basically the wet condition answer to when your Chuck Taylors get water in them, you know, on when you can't wear them in the rain. So next up we have our exclusive colorway with Merrell. This is the Moab 3 in Gore-Tex. And the colorway is the aluminum colorway, which again, exclusive color, you can only get it here at Huckberry. So going from the bottoms up with this shoe, what we instantly see is a Vibram outsole. Again, with these ingredient brands, they're great for brands who want to communicate that this is, you know, basically made for performance. You know it's going to be tried and true on the trail. It's going to be great for when you're walking in wet, slippery conditions. So this is what I'm looking for a comfortable trail shoe. So when you look at the upper, what you see is basically a combination. You have some canvas, you have some breathable mesh, you have some leather hits here. This is, if I had to guess, this is probably going to be a nubuck. But the upper, when you see it, it basically speaks like Gorp God to you. Basically speaks to you like knowing that you're gonna wear this thing on the trail. Looking out through the rest of the boot, as you can see, some of the other design language pieces that I'm gonna call out are just the lace length and the tongue length. You can kind of see it goes all the way from like your ankle all the way down to basically like almost where your toes start. This is just gonna give you basically more of that Octane feeling or that more adjustable fit all the way throughout. Some of the design elements, this boot again has a gusseted tongue. Obviously, lots of waterproof protection here, all the way up to your ankle. And when you think about the footbed, so you have these things here on the bottom that I'll call out real quick. These, you know, sometimes they're called cookies. These are gonna be like a different density from the rest of the footbed. So the nice thing about this is like when you're stepping in your forefoot or in your heel, you're gonna feel an extra like little bit of plushness, a little bit of cushion here. This is just a comfort thing. It's really nice to have. Glad to see that Merrell is not, you know, being really cheap with their footbeds. And on the back, you know, at Huckberry, we always want to make sure that anything with a collaboration gives a nod to the brand. So you have the little Huckberry tree here. Obviously, very subtle. Really like it because you know, it just gives that nice little touch that Huckberryans really love. So when it comes to sizing, the nice thing about this is that this boot comes in full and half sizes, all the way from size 8 to size 13. So when you think about use case, this is probably what I'm gravitating towards if I'm gonna be on a trail all day, if I'm going backpacking. Basically, you know, I'm gonna skip the office, I'm out of office, I'm just gonna go on a hike, I'm gonna be outdoors all day. This is what I'm wearing. So when you think about styling, I'm definitely gonna be wearing this with performance pants. Think about like proof Trek joggers, rover pants, anything that can have a performance element and keep you protected when I'm on a trail. That's what I'm wearing this with. All right, so next up we have the Naglev Combat Waterproof Boot, or Combat WP for short. So right off the bat, I'm gonna start with the outsole. So again, what you're seeing here is a full length rubber outsole. You have the Naglev branding here. You have these really high lugs. So it's nice to see these lugs be raised. So basically what you're seeing is a full length outsole here that's designed to be used on a trail and provide a lot of traction and stability. The other things to note here are these overlays. These are gonna be no seam connections for the upper. What's really nice about this is, again, there's no stitching when you connect this. It's all gonna be cemented or heat sealed to this upper, provide less points of failure in the boot. The brand applied this obviously here just to give it a nice design detail, but also to provide protection around high points of like rubbing and abrasion. So when you're on the trail, you know, one of the things that always happens to me is I'm basically hitting my toe all the time. Having that protection here is just really nice. Again, this will wrap 360 around the boot, so it's nice to see that protection is basically, you know, going to be 360. You know, you're fully covered. So when you think about the rest of the upper, the main material here, which is really unique, is one-piece Kevlar. So, you know, you don't have to worry about seams coming apart. You don't have to worry about stitching them. Basically, you have this one piece, which makes it a lot more efficient. So when you look at the rest of how of the upper, how do they form the eyelets? They basically have these nice little loops that basically form eyelets from all the way from basically the toe all the way up to, you know, the top of the ankle. So the nice thing about this is that you basically have a cord lock system to keep you secure in this boot. So really what you're thinking of when you're wearing this boot is, will water kind of intrude in here? You know, is it truly waterproof? Yes, it is. You're probably going to be super safe up until this point. When you get past this point here, water will probably get in between this tongue area and the booty, but it won't penetrate the booty. So basically, this is going to also serve as a drainage channel as you step or as you get into a different angle as you're walking through. So again, as I mentioned about this booty, it's also the entry system. I will say, if you have very wide feet, just right off the bat, this is a style that you're definitely going to want to size up. So if you're someone who is above a D width, if you're an E or double E, you know who you are, you're probably going to want to size up at least a half size up. It's one of the biggest points about this shoe, about getting into it. It's a little bit hard, but once you're in, you're locked in. So pulling out the footbed, what you really see here is, you know, Naglev branding. It's heat embossed, which is really nice. Veg tan leather in general is going to last a lifetime. It's going to feel like a second skin. I don't recommend wearing this boot, you know, barefoot obviously, but the nice thing about veg tan is obviously it will wear really nicely over time, and it'll actually, you know, probably get your foot imprint. Basically, as you wear it, the oils from this leather will come out, and it'll basically just, you know, keep this thing looking nice over time. It'll wear in versus wear out. For someone who's going to be going on a trip, you know, you're going to be hiking, you're going to be backpacking, you're going to be on a flight, you have to pack minimally. This is one boot that can do it all. You know, obviously, it is a very aggressive design language. So if you care about how you look, you know, this might not be for you. But if you care more about utilitarian use, care about more function, more about versatility, definitely bring this boot with you. It's the one boot that can do it all, and you don't have to be, you don't have to be afraid or worried about whether this will take care of you on your trip. Fun fact: we're the exclusive U.S. retailer, so definitely think about buying it from us. All right, so next up we have the Danner, Douglas, and Gore-Tex. So going into the boot, the first thing I want to do is just talk about the bottom. So going into the outsole, what you see here is actually a polyurethane outsole that has a little plug here that says Danner, nice branding moment. It's made in the USA, it's oil resistant, and it's slip resistant. So the nice thing about polyurethane, or PU for short, is that it's very cushy. They actually last a little bit longer than rubber and like EVA. So again, the nice thing about this is that you just have Danner branding, but you know that you're probably getting this from a trusted supplier that also makes product in the US. So the really cool thing about this boot is it does a really good job blending the heritage and the tech. As you can see from the upper, it looks like a classic boot. You have the rounded toe, you have the wide toe box, you have a full leather upper kind of on the outside. But when you go on the inside, what you don't really see is that this actually has a Gore-Tex lining or Gore-Tex membrane. So when you think about the construction of this boot, you're gonna have a waterproof leather on the outside, and then you're also gonna have a membrane on the inner layer, which you obviously can't see out here. As we unlace the boot and we again look at some of the other details inside of the boot, what you're gonna see is, first off, gusseted tongue. So again, you can basically be confident that up into the second speed hook over here, you're gonna be okay to be stepping into water, or you know, water won't get in at that point. So going into the shoe even further, pulling out the footbed, what I really like about this is that they're, you know, clearly using an ortholite footbed. This is a single density, but the nice thing about this is that it's gonna be molded, so you're gonna have some arch support, you're gonna have some, you know, a little bit of that sneaker comfort, and you also have, you know, a textile lining. The other thing I would call out really quickly is that if you look on the inside even further, if you see that white material, that's typically a Strobel construction. Again, the brand here is just prioritizing, you know, making it look like a heritage boot on the outside, but updating them with modern constructions, which is really nice. Last thing I want to call out about this boot that I love is that it's made in the USA. They import the components, they make it here in the USA, up in Portland, Oregon, and so it's really unique. Out of all the boots that we covered today, none of them were made in the USA except this one. When it comes to sizing, we have full sizes and half sizes. So this is gonna be one where I'm actually saying this is gonna be more of a boot sizing. It's gonna be less sneaker sizing like the other ones. Follow Danner's lasts. This has the 828 last, I believe. So the nice thing about that is that if you had their boots before, if you're used to their boots, the 828 last will fit pretty consistently throughout the sizes. All right, when it comes to styling and use case, definitely wear this if you're someone who wants to have that traditional kind of heritage workwear look. I will say when it comes to the use case, it's not really recommended to use polyurethane on asphalt on a daily basis. So if you're someone who works, indoors, this is great for walking on wood floors. This is great for walking on hardwood floors, carpet, or anything like that. So the main thing to know is that this is meant to be slip resistant and comfortable. So thanks for watching our rundown on weatherproof boots. We hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please drop in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Until next time, we'll see you out there.